So in today's demonstration, we are going to learn how we can make GeoReplication on the newly created SQL database. GeoReplication is a phenomenon under which you can create read replicas of this database, or if you don't want to have the read replicas, you can create a backup of this database and keep it passively on some other location. To do so, come to the SQL database, select your database and look for the properties section. Under the setting, you can see a column called GeoReplication. Clicking on that will take you to the properties tab of this GeoReplication. If you look carefully, there would be a graphical interface presented to you which depicts where your primary database resides and what is your recommended secondary. This blue box indicates where your primary database has been created, and it also specified what is your secondary region. Under the current circumstances, the target region or the recommended secondary location is East Asia. You can go ahead and select any other, but for our demonstration, we are not going to change anything. What we will do, we'll just replicate this database from our primary location to the secondary. So primary is Southeast Asia. The secondary will get created in the East Asia. Let's go ahead and select that target region. Upon selecting the target region, it will block the region section and the database name because we are not allowed to change that. It will also select the existing pricing tier which we have used for the primary, but that is one thing which you can go ahead and even change. For our demonstration, we are not going to change that. If you see the secondary type, we have made it as readable. That means we are going to create a read only secondary. If you don't want it to be readable, you can make it non-readable as well. But in that sense, it will defies the logic of having a read replica. Now, as always, if you're creating a SQL database, you need a SQL server to hold that database. And because there is no SQL database server on that target region, we have to specifically go ahead and create a SQL server. To create the SQL server, this operation will remain the same as we have seen during the previous sessions. Let's go ahead and provide the name to this server. We will specify read as prefix here. We'll provide the admin login. Let's give it an admin and then provide the password. Please go ahead and confirm the password because this is the password which you're going to use to connect to this database. Let's go ahead and select. Now with that, we have selected the database server. Now, because we have already selected all the values for the secondary, let's go ahead and click on OK. This operation takes a couple of minutes. Once it's completed, you can see a new database has been created on the secondary region or the target region, but that database is only in read format. You cannot go and edit anything on that database, but still you can read that replica as read purposes. Now what the workload for that particular operation could be, you can have your reporting being handled with the help of the read replicas, and the normal operation can eventually happen on your primaries. Once it has successfully deployed the secondary, you can see on this notification tab the deployment has been successfully implemented. If you want to see the status of this, under the secondary you can see it's being mentioned as a readable. If you scroll it on top, here you can see what is your primary and what is your secondary. The blue box which is being ticked, that is being mentioned as your primary, and then the green one is being mentioned as your secondary. And from visual effect you can see that how the data syncing has been taken place. To see your secondary, let's go ahead and click on the SQL databases section. Here if you refresh, it has created another database which is replication role as secondary. Now to connect to this database, again we have to go back and look for SQL servers. Here if you see, it has created a new SQL server for us because the location has to be changed, and now under this server the location is East Asia. Let's go ahead and click on that, and we have to perform the same operations like what we did initially. That means we have to add the IP address on the firewall section before anybody could access this database. Let's go ahead and capture our client IP and add a rule with this IP address. Let's name it as sample rule. and give the starting and end IPs. Let's click on save. That should take few seconds to reflect here. Once it's successfully created, you can click on OK, and these settings will have its impact on the connectivity. Now to connect to this database, we have to come back and look for the properties tab on this particular SQL server. Once we capture the server endpoints, we know the username and password. We can look at SQL Server Management Studio on how we can get connected. Let's click on the properties and copy the server name. So we are back to our SQL Server Management Studio. Let's click on connect to the database engine and see if we can connect to the secondary. Now the server name of the secondary is different. Let's go ahead and provide that. The login credentials, we will use what we have specified, and then we'll click on create. This should allow me to connect to this database. So upon successfully providing the credential, it has connected to that database server. Under the database sections, we can see that demo 2017 DB, which is part of the primary, has also been created. You can scroll this further and see the table section. Under the tables, it would have all the relevant tables related to AdventureWorks database. So under this demonstration, we have learned how we create a replication on SQL Azure, and that replication can also be made readable. In that sense, it will operate as a read replica.